This is John for Global Traveler. Today I have the pleasure of talking travel and fitness with fitness expert Joey Thurman. How are you, Joey?
I'm good, man. I love your shades.
Thanks, man. A little light problem with the eyes, so it works better for me.
All right.
So you're a fitness expert, you're a nutrition and metabolism specialist. You've also been called the trainer to the stars. Let's start off. How did you start and how did you know you were going to make a career out of this?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up playing all sorts of sports. My main sports were soccer and hockey through college. And my last year of college, I thought, you know what, I don't want to go to law school. And personal training was in its infancy. And I didn't want to get my butt kicked and my teeth knocked out trying to play minor league hockey and hopefully work my way up. So I ended up getting certified as a trainer back then and moved into Chicago. And that's kind of how it started, and I guess the rest is history, as they say.
Well, you've accomplished quite a lot. You've got a very nice resume. As the celebrity trainer to the stars, is it harder to train a celebrity?
You know, they're kind of more of a pain in the ass. Now, granted, I've had a few that are spectacular, but and when I say that, I don't necessarily mean like, personality or anything. It's just there's a lot. They have a lot of demands around them, whether it's movie schedule and scripts and things changing and personal assistants, and they're being pulled in many different directions, as opposed to somebody that probably makes more money than them, where I train a, multimillionaire or a billionaire, where yes, they've got lots of employees and everything else, but they don't have all these external things as well, like fans running up to them, or if I'm training them at a gym, people coming up trying to take pictures of them or being secretive or, all that sort of stuff. So that's a little bit more of a pain in the ass, right? As far as that's concerned. Sometimes like the personality is a little difficult to deal with. You need to manage those expectations right away. And once they realize that, hey, I'm in charge during this hour or however long we're training or how many times during the day, um, then they know, because generally the movie studio or somebody else hired me and they are paying me. So the celebrities often aren't paying themselves. Sometimes they are. But yeah, but for the most part, you just got to manage a lot of that. I've trained a lot of WWE people, and it just managing and impact and stuff, and managing their schedules and travel schedules. I think that's one thing that is really difficult to do. And then the demand on their body, and as well, I think people forget the demand on their mind, additionally.
Good point. Yeah, excellent. On your social media, you're very open. You list a bunch of facts about Joey Thurman, one of which I thought was interesting, that you admit that you fight depression. And I think that's cool because it's not cool that you fight depression. It's cool that you admit that, obviously, because a lot of people kind of hide it, and you're open about it. Does physical fitness, does training and all that, does that help you with overcoming depression?
Yeah, and I was diagnosed with clinical depression at 14, and I always say it kind of goes in remission and comes back. And sometimes I could have amazing things happening to me, and then I just wake up or have moments in the day or weeks, honestly, where I'm like, I don't know why I'm not happy. I don't know why I feel this way. And I think that's kind of one of those things where you can't really explain it. But for me, movement is truly my medicine, and I do believe it saves my life every single day, not just internally for helping me live longer and things like that, but um when I've got a really bad day or those depressive spells that are days and sometimes weeks and even longer, I know if I move that day, I get a workout in, I go outside and take a walk, I play with my son, things like that. That helps me feel better. Sometimes it will fix it for the day or for a long time. Sometimes it just quiets that noise, because I talk about in my book, The Minimal Method, that I feel like we have two voices sometimes. You've got this loud voice that's telling you that you can't, and all these sort of like negative things, and it's always loud and like be sad and whatever. And there's this other voice that's just like trying to like push you forward and like letting you know like the positive things in your life. And it's much harder to listen to that soft, that quieter voice. So often I try to stop and take a breath, and or many breaths, right? People take a deep inhale, but it's that exhalation that actually will calm us down. That brings us more parasympathetic. So as opposed to take a deep breath, it should say take a deep breath and a deep exhalation to calm you down. So I'll do breathing techniques, and a whole breathing chapter in my book. There's a lot of different things that I do for my depression, but number one, Besides sleep and nutrition, obviously, it is movement because I do get that, dopamine response and kind of nice flood of endorphins, and I feel so much better for myself. And I know if I skip that day or later on in the night, if I didn't move, I didn't get some movement in, I know that I'm going to kick myself for not getting that in. So I always think about how am I going to feel later on in the day if I don't move. Obviously, it doesn't have to be lifting weights or crazy workouts. Just sometimes taking walks, 3 10-minute walks a day, especially after a meal, helps with digestion, nutrient absorption. And that's 30 minutes of exercise in a day. That, just walking right there. And that
Yeah.
could be a recovery day for me. That could be, a starting of an exercise program with somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, and I appreciate you, and I think it's so important because people look at you, people look at what you've accomplished, they look at your social media and you go, this guy's got it all. Why is he depressed? But people like you speaking out about that, I think helps everybody. So for one, I appreciate you doing that.
Well, thank you.
Um, so let's talk a little bit about travel. Obviously, Global Traveler, our readers, our viewers are big travelers. They'll travel anywhere 10 to 12 times a year. What are some tips that you can give to, for exercise in hotel rooms or on the fly, even in airplanes? I know some people do flexes on airplanes, and for nutrition for the people that are constantly away from home and can't make their little meals.
Yeah, look, I mean, here's the thing. I travel probably 20 to 30 times in a year. Um, you know, 2 years ago when that book came out, I think I did 28 cities in 3 months and drove in snowstorms and everything else. So I do truly feel you. So for me, I think, preparation, if you don't prepare, you're prepared to fail. So you have to prepare yourself. Often people are going to the same cities. So they know the restaurants there. They know the grocery stores. Try to get a hotel or Airbnb or Verbo, anything like that, that at least has a small refrigerator because your nutrition is key. Because that's the thing, you're eating out all the time. You have expense accounts, and I get it. Sometimes when I'm executive producer of this company, I'll walk at home, and they have an expense account for me, and I can spend several $100s a day in food. And I love going to restaurants and doing all that sort of stuff. But even if I have salmon at a restaurant, that's cooked in butter and added, 200-300 calories. It's delicious, but the salmon and broccoli at the restaurant is much different than the salmon and broccoli that I would have at home. Or I go to a grocery store or something like that, and then I'm grabbing something that's pre-cooked there, or I get like greens drinks and I put it in the little refrigerator. So even find your restaurant, your grocery store, and just go and eat there at the same time every single day. The breakfast, lunch, and maybe your dinner. You've got to go to business meals, and then you kind of build that silo essentially of the calorie budget. Make sure at least those first couple meals, because often business dinners are what you're doing when you're going out of town. So make sure those first couple meals, you've got some protein, a lot of vegetables in there to keep you full, fruits as well, but you're not overdoing breakfast and lunch. And then also you're overdoing dinner. And then I said this earlier, walking after your meals, spectacular. 10-minute brisk walk after each meal that helps the nutrient absorption, insulin response, digestion. I call them fart walks as well. Sometimes you just gotta rip it out, right?
Sure.
And that's great. And then get outside when you can. Get outside, get that sunlight, whether it's cold outside, whether it's warm outside. The cold will help with a little bit of, increasing that metabolic rate to keep your core temperature elevated. If I'm in a hotel room, I literally wear a Fitbit. You can track it on your phone, anything like that. And I will walk back and forth in my hotel room. If there's a gym down there, even better. So you can get that movement in, do some squats, anything just to get that 10 minutes of movement or that exercise snacking um, after your meal. And then, yes, the workouts. Look, can you build a spectacular bodybuilder type body, traveling? Sure, it's possible. It's incredibly difficult. But you want to do those things when you think about that you're going to try to counteract the negative effects of traveling. So you're sitting down a lot, your lower back is tight, you're rounded forward. So people like, yeah, push-ups are easy, but we're rounded forward all the time. Also, we're loading our chest and our anterior delts by just doing push-ups in the hotel room. That's great, but that could also make your posture much worse. So even just stretching your upper back, stretching your chest, doing some yoga in the room, hamstring, hip flexor stretches. You go to funfitnessbros.com. I've got a free app with Dr. Ian Smith, Fun Fitness Bros app, free to download. You get hundreds and hundreds of workouts. And then if you want to do the programs, yes, you pay your $6 a month. That's how the world works, right? But it is free to
Of course, yeah.
and the body weight exercises on there. I've got bands as well on funfitnessbros.com. You can bring those, you can pack those in your suitcase, and they're just seven loop bands. They look like a chain and they're just kind of, rubber type bands. So you can get a good workout in, maybe grab 5 minutes of biceps. Okay, I'm going to do bicep curls until I can't move my arms. Take 30 seconds to a minute, do another set, do another set. All of a sudden, you got 3 sets of biceps in your hotel room, or maybe while you're on a Zoom call, anything like that. You can get that movement in. Nobody needs to work out, an hour continuously. If you want to work out an hour a day, if you did your 3 10-minute walks, John, let's do Sesame Street here, math, brother. That's 30 minutes, right? Now you've got 30 minutes remaining of exercise in a day that you need to get. So you can add those snacks and those bite-sized things of exercise in. So you did 30 minutes of walking, also needed 10 minutes of biceps in your hotel room. Maybe later on, you squat for 30 seconds, take a break for 30 seconds. Fun Fitness Bros app there. You go on my Instagram, Joey Thurman Fit, if we're plugging things, right? I'm going to plug away. You do that. You grab these little workouts, and that's going to be spectacular. That company I mentioned before, Walk at Home, is literally walking and doing steps and everything on camera on YouTube. Go to Walk at Home on YouTube. 5 million subscribers. You're walking forward, you're doing side steps, you're doing kicks, you're moving your body, you're getting that heart rate elevated. These are 15 minutes, you're doing 1 mile in your hotel room. Spectacular. There's so many ways now that we can get moving. And I think sometimes people are like, what's optimal? What's optimal? Well, what's optimal is you don't travel, you don't have any friends, you never go to a restaurant, you make all your food, you measure everything down to the T, and that's optimal. Anything outside of that, sometimes I think social media influencers and celebrities make it seem like, like, oh, I can do this. I get up and I think the day's wonderful. You know what? Sometimes the day just sucks. And sometimes you're going to wake up and you need to get through that day. Pardon my language. You can bleep this out later. Sometimes you just get through the day. And that is winning right there. If you just got through that tough day, because we think so much about, like I always say, that anticipation is often harder than the actual event itself. When somebody's coming to train with me the first time, they're really anxious, they're nervous, but once they get in and that veil is lifted in the first 30 seconds, I'm joking around with them, they feel much more comfortable. Same thing with an exercise plan, same thing with a business meeting, same thing with taking your first flight, same thing with having your first child. Anything like that, that anticipation is often worse than the actual event. So I want you to lean into that stress, lean into the anticipation, lean into how it's going to be hard for you, because once you push into that and you lean into that, the next time you do this, the next time you think, oh my God, I'm stressed out, I'm nervous, but then you stop and think, you know what? I was really nervous for that business meeting, but I got through it. I can do this too. I was really nervous to start working out, but I did that first workout. Now, do we add that consistency? Consistency over intensity is what's going to get you there. So hopefully I answered your question there.
No, it's beautifully. What advice do you have for people, not people like in the 50 to 60-year-old range, who say, I'm doing the same thing I used to do. I'm doing the 10,000 steps or 20,000 steps, whatever it is, but I'm still putting on weight. It's just not producing the same results. What is your answer to that?
Well, one, you've been doing the same thing for 30 years. Like that's not going to work. Would you do the same thing in your business for 30 years? Would you do the same like marketing strategy? I mean, if you're a marketer, right, John? Like 30 years ago, there wasn't, really social media, internet, anything like, oh, we took out ads in newspapers and that did well. Are you still going to do the same thing? You're going to get fired. Why would you be doing the same thing if it stops working? So one, you need to develop a program, 3 Ps, purpose, plan, path, right? What is your purpose? What are you trying to do? Set a plan for yourself, whether that's a calendar and all these apps I talked about, Fun Fitness Bros, anything like that. You can set something up. You can set a plan like, oh, I'm 50, my knees hurt, whatever. You know what? Like my back hurts. It's been hurting since I was 14 years old. Nobody knows what your body feels like unless they're in your body. So your body is completely different from everybody else's. So quit with the damn excuses. I used to play high school football 30 years ago and squat 400 pounds. Great. You know what? You've got 30 more years of stress and mileage on that vehicle. That vehicle is your car, and you need to take care of your one and only vehicle. You need to do oil changes. You need to change the spark plugs. You need to wash it. You need to take care of it. Same thing with your body. So change up, set yourself on a program. Hey, on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm going to do 20 minutes of a full body weight resistance program. Okay, I'm going to do that. Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm going to swim. Saturdays and Sundays, I'm just going to make sure I play with my kids, my grandkids. I'm going to do the walk at home program, Fun Fitness Pro, anything like that. I'm going to stretch. I'm going to do yoga. My God, there's so much information out there now. There's so many free resources. There's so many things you can pay $5, $10 a month. Get a trainer if you can afford one. Great. Get an online trainer. You have so many options that excuses are like buttholes, man. Everybody's got one. So stop it. Like I'm going to give you a bunch of quotes here. So like you really need to be aware of yourself and think back like, wow, The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting different results. Now, movement is good. Yes, if you're doing the same program for 20 years and you're still moving, fine, great. But thermodynamics still apply. If you're not losing weight, and let's talk about weight on the scale, let's talk about fat. Because look, I can get you to lose a bunch of weight. You could take a bunch of laxatives. I can have you shit your pants, vomit yourself. Like
Yeah.
you can not drink water for a day. So food weight. So the scale is down, but did you actually lose body fat? No, you just crapped yourself, right? And you lost fecal matter. That's it. So you want to lose fat and maintain fat-free mass. So you want to have around a gram of protein per body weight, unless you're morbidly obese. Like then that you don't need 400, 500 grams of protein in a day. Okay, so let's say you're 200 pounds, around 200 grams of protein. That's 800 calories right there. If you're moving around, 0.75 is fine too, or even if half. You want to make sure you're having your protein there. Have 3 servings of vegetables a day at least, which a serving could look like your fist. Have 2 or 3 servings of fruit in a day. Right there, you've got your bases covered. Whoa, is it low carb? Is it high carb? And you know what? Protein is the thing that matters the most. Whether you're high carb, whether you're high fat, whether you're vice versa, protein matters the most. Thermodynamics still apply. So you need to be burning a little bit more than you're intaking. And I'm not saying you need to cut thousands of calories per day. Start just whatever you're eating throughout the day. Start an exercise program. After 2 weeks, check your scale every single day. Do an average throughout the week. Did that scale go down after 2 weeks? Okay. Did you have your protein? If it went down, you're likely losing body fat. If you're starving yourself, you're not drinking, you're doing all sorts of different things, then that weight loss could also be fat-free mass, which includes muscle tissue, right? So we lost all this weight, but in turn, we lost metabolically active muscle tissue. We lost muscle tissue that helps absorb shock, propel us forward, help with that locomotion. So you just really got to quit the excuses and start. Your day one is now. Your day one wasn't 18 years ago. You're in high school football and you want to keep talking about those glory days. Man, if I wouldn't have injured myself, I would have got to the NFL. You know what? You probably would not have.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's stop, right? Like, yeah, I played high level hockey, but I played with some of the top players in the world. I do not compare to them. Sometimes you just gotta, call a spade, John. Like, it's okay. Stop living in the glory days. Your glory days can be right now.
Perfect advice, my friend. Before I let you go again, I do appreciate your time. I want to ask you, tell everybody where they can find out more information about you. But before I ask you that, I wanted to mention your 2 books. You have 2 books. One of them is 365 health and fitness hacks that can save your life. And I love the title of that because you were on the hack train before everything became a life hack. So you're well ahead of the curve. And the other one is the minimum method, which I think is really cool because the concept of the book is you don't have to run a marathon every day to stay in shape. It's the little things that you do that all add up. So I'll shut up now, and you can tell everybody where they can find out more information about all your stuff.
You don't need to shut up, man. It's your show.
You're
Look,
the star though today.
yeah, the minimum method, like the subtitle is the least you can do to be a stronger, healthier, happier you. And there's 3 different archetypes in there. Let's go. That's your person that's on the couch. That might be your reader. Like, just like, where do I start? Hasn't reached the starting line. Let's go. Level up. That's the person in the race. They're like, okay, I'm working out. I'm doing things. How do I make it a little bit better? You have your max out. That might be me. That's your person that's already working out a bunch. Like, how do we optimize every little thing? So I talk about sleep and nutrition, everything in there. And at the end, you don't even need to read the full chapter. One, you can do that, download the audiobook and listen to my beautiful voice. But at the end is just cliff notes. You can go through and skip. You don't even need to read everything because I know most people don't read books. So go and read the cliff notes and you pick from the buffet what you can do and what you can implement into your minimum method week, right? There's the weekday diet in there where you have less calories during the week and more calories on the weekend based off of research, my buddy Dr. Bill Campbell from USF, and you lose 7 pounds over 7 weeks and you maintain fat-free mass, which I was talking about, right? So look at that. Joey Thurman Fit on pretty much all social media accounts, funfitnessbros.com or funfitnessbros app to check out the free app and then get the exercise bands as well. I've got a YouTube as well. If you type in Joey Thurman Fitness, I'm not as active on there. I shot a bunch of content, so there's still posting happening on there. But yeah, Joey Thurman Fit on the socials is the easiest, and Fun Fitness Bros for the app. And I've got some things coming out with Walk at Home. Hopefully I'll be on QVC soon. I've got some other stuff as well, always in the works. So there's a lot of stuff.
Well, before I end, I do have to say, the Packers. Why the Packers?
So here's the thing. Okay. Chicago hates me for sports teams, by the way. I'm a Packers fan, a St. Louis
And
Blues fan,
and a Blues fan. That's my next question.
and a Cardinals fan. So
Oh,
when people ask where I'm from, that's a hard thing to say because I was born in Savannah, Georgia. I lived there for a couple of years, so I don't say I'm a Southern boy, like a Georgian boy, because I was only there for a couple of years. We moved around. I lived in Appleton, Wisconsin from 4 until 13. So there's the Packers. My
okay.
my mom and dad are from St. Louis. We did not have a hockey team in Wisconsin, so I adopted the Blues and Cardinals, and then I moved to St. Louis from 13 until 23. To be like, well, aren't you a Chicago fan? You know what? If you left Chicago, would you be a fan of that team and forget your team? No, of course not. Like, come on, I'm loyal. Now, did I like it when the Cubs won the World Series? Yes, you guys have been sucking for years. So I'm
Thank
glad,
you.
like I'm glad that you won. Like I'm that's not like an asshole comment. I'm glad that you won because everybody should experience that, right? When the Blues won, like I'm not on team we. I'm sorry. Are you on the team? There's no we. You're
Right.
of the team. You have a we. Like it doesn't affect my day. But that was cool because I grew up watching them. So that was cool. Like that I was happy for a day and I moved on. If they would have lost, it would have sucked, but I would have moved on. Okay. So focus on you. Focus on the people around you that are tangible, that you can touch, that you can love, as opposed to going to a Cubs game or a Blues game or anything and yelling and being an asshole to somebody else. It's okay. Everybody's going to have their team. Why aren't you a Cubs fan when you live in Chicago? Because I grew up as a Cardinals fan. I'm not just going to switch teams. Why are you a Packers fan? Because I grew up in Wisconsin and it's my team. Yeah, I want the Bears to be better because they're boring to watch. So, yes, I hope Caleb Wilson does well because sometimes when there's a Packers game and a Bears game at the same time, I'm forced to watch the Bears. So I want them to do well so I can watch entertaining football. So that's it. It's very simple. Packers, Blues, Cardinals, and actually I can adopt the Bulls because I never really liked basketball. So let's go Bulls, right?
Once again, perfect answers, my friend. I love it. Man, I really enjoyed this interview, Joey. I appreciate everything you do. I love the books. I have them on my bookshelf way over there.
Yes, man.
Otherwise, I'd have them out here, but I was too lazy to drag them over. I should have, though. I would have burned a couple calories.
You walked. Now you can walk back and forth. There you go.
Exactly. Joey, thanks very much for your time. I encourage everyone to check you out. You do a lot of great work. Not only do you help people with their physical end, you help them with the mental mindset to get a better overall lifestyle. So I really appreciate your time, Joey. And with that, I thank you, sir.
All right, buddy. Cheers.